Hi, my name is Dr. Uri Burstyn. I'm a veterinarian in Vancouver, BC, and I'd like to welcome you to my series of practical skills for pet owners. I'm here with Mr. Pirate to talk about a question that I got asked quite a few times after publishing my Squish the Cat video, and that is why I can't touch my cat. Some people are feeding cats outside and really are wondering why these cats are very standoffish. Other people have house cats and they're just not that cuddly. So I'm making this video to kind of help you understand a little bit as to why that might be. So the way I think about it, there's two reasons why a cat may not be super cuddly: behavioral and medical. So let's talk about behavioral causes of why a cat may not be that cuddly. The thing we need to understand is that cats were never domesticated. They co-evolved to live with humans, but they're vicious wild predators that choose to live with us, not animals that were selected for wanting to live with us. Now this little predator right here obviously falls on the one end of the spectrum where he has a pretty strong human affinity. He loves being around people. Other cats fall on the other end of the spectrum where they're essentially a wild animal, where they just don't care for humans at all. And that's just the way they're born. You know, I think there's a rough estimate that 10 to 20% of kittens will never make a terrifically cuddly, close house pet because they just don't care to be around people. They kind of want to be doing their own thing in the wild. And that's just a fact of life. So, you know, if a cat doesn't want to be cuddled by you, maybe they're just not a cuddly cat. Having said that, cats do acquire a lot of learned behaviors from their mother. So again, if you have a kitten that has been brought up by a cat who's afraid of humans, such as a feral cat, that kitten may learn to be human averse, and they may also unlearn it. So I'm not going to tell you to give up on every feral cat or every cat that's not cuddly. Sometimes with some patience and love and careful attention, you can make a cat who is afraid of humans quite fond of hanging out with you. But you may run into an issue where you just have a cat who's just not that into people, and that's okay. That's just the way they are. You may get into a scenario where you have a cat whose mother just didn't teach it to be into people, and that one, again, may be a little standoffish, but they might eventually warm up to you. Come on, little guy. So Mr. Pirate here is obviously very into people. Hi. But again, I raised him, so I'm basically his mother. I raised him from when he was a week old. I bottle fed him. So he, not only was he had a high affinity for humans, but he also learned that people are kind of okay. So behavioral issues, just intrinsic personality, may be one reason why your cat's not super cuddly. Another reason that I come across very often as a veterinarian is chronic pain. And pain in cats can be really, really subtle. It is incredibly difficult to diagnose. People often say to me, well, you know, he's not whining or anything. I don't know if he's in pain or not. And they're right. You know, dogs are social animals. They display pain, display signs of discomfort. Cats are not. Signs of discomfort in cats can be really subtle. An increased aggression is one of them. Sweetheart, you want to be on the shoulder? Just hang out on the table a little longer, okay? So aggression is a really common sign of pain, and chronic pain can lead to chronic aggression. Other signs are hiding, eating less, really subtle stuff, sleeping more in some cases. But let's talk about aggression. A cat who's in pain will snap and react. Even Mr. Pirate, you know, when if he's sore and I poked him in the sore spot, he might turn around and hiss at me or swipe at me or snap at me because that's just how he communicates. Right now he's communicating, he wants to be up on my shoulder. But, you know, natural way that cats have of communicating is bite, swat, hiss, and people get put off by that. Cats in chronic pain is a little bit trickier. When you have a cat that's in chronic pain, they may be completely untouchable, but if you remove that source of chronic pain, then they become a sweetheart, or at least reasonably cuddly at home. And the most common sources of chronic pain in cats, the most common one, is a sore tooth, dental disease, resorptive lesions. We see this all the time. We see cats who cannot be touched. You look in their mouth, you diagnose the problem, you do a dental cleaning, you pull out the sore tooth, and the cat becomes a sweetheart. Owners are calling me a week later saying, I can't believe how sweet and cuddly this cat has become. We thought he was just a jerk. Whereas in fact, he just had a sore tooth, potentially for years. Cats get these things called resorptive lesions. They're very similar to cavities in humans. It can be very hard to diagnose. Even a cat might have nice looking teeth, but there's just a little red spot there that's sensitive. But these are incredibly painful. Even under anesthesia, if you touch them, the jaw chatters. So even under general anesthetic, it'll cause a nociceptive, a pain response in the cat. So dental pain is probably our number one cause of chronic pain in cats that is completely preventable and treatable. And again, we do this all the time. We see this regularly. Cats who are just jerks, you pull a tooth and they become sweethearts. As I demonstrated with Sesame, something as subtle and seemingly like something that's not very obvious, like skin, like hair mats, can cause severe discomfort for a cat and lead them to be completely untouchable, really aggressive animal, whereas in reality, they're just uncomfortable. Another common cause is neck and back pain, arthritis, and I'm going to do a whole video on that later, but arthritis pain can be really subtle, real hard to diagnose, but it can make a cat cranky and really not wanting to be touched. And again, that's something that's manageable. You get them on some painkillers, you make them lose weight, you help those cats, and they become cuddly and sweet again. So the message I'd like you guys to take away from this video is that not all cats are going to be human-centric or really cuddly, but not all angry, dangerous, aggressive cats have to be that way. You have to look for a source of chronic pain, find them, treat them. And at the end of all that, you can have a much nicer cat to work with, someone who's relaxed, much more easy to get along with, can be cuddled, can be patted, will hang out with you. And it's all about just addressing those sources of chronic pain. So that's part one of my video on why you can't touch that cat. Please stay tuned for part two, where we'll discuss some medical reasons why certain cats may not want to be patted or picked up. Please click like and subscribe. Feel free to share this video with your friends. And if you want to support our good work, please check out our web store. We have some adorable Squish the Cat merchandise there for you. Please give it a look. And once more, thank you very much for watching my videos.